Printing is essential in society. It is especially essential in education. It is still unclear which Westerner first invented printing. There is also no clear indication whether or not printing in the West was influenced by printing techniques developed earlier in the East, namely China's techniques of movable type. According to EEBO, the first mention of Chinese printing in Europe was in 1697. Printing, which is but an art in its infancy in Europe, hath been from all antiquity in use in China. Specific details about Chinese printing was not known until around 1849. The Chinese first used printing to make playing cards. Wooden block printing was invented in China during the 6th century, when Emperor Wan Ti ordered all important texts to be engraved on wooden blocks so that they could be printed and published. Clay movable type, hardened by fire, was later invented by the Chinese blacksmith Pi Qing. Later, Korea invented metal movable type. The British seem to merely mention China as the first country who introduced printing, but do not credit the Chinese for the actual invention of printing, and are certain to highlight the distinctions between the two. This article states, "Every newly ascertained fact representing printing has an importance for the world, and although the progress of the art in China is entirely unconnected, we believe with its progress in Europe, it is interesting to know what the Orientals had already done in the way of multiplication of works of art, at a time when monks in the West were toiling at the reproduction of manuscripts." Later in the article, the West's bias against the East's inventions is very evident, as they make it a point to continually discredit the Chinese. Kappa's writing is referenced. Printing, originating in China, might have been known in Europe 150 years earlier, before it was discovered there, if Europeans could have read and studied the Persian historians. The West refers to Gutenberg as the father of printing and inventor of typography. By the end of the 15th century, printing presses were set up in 220 different places in Europe. Evidence of printing can be found everywhere in a modern society. It would be hard to imagine life without printing.